What's up, party people? This is Tarkus Jude Mossberg here from Facebook, Jude's Junk, Facebook comic book shop, YouTube channel, website, comic book store. My website's finally up. So this is just a fun little video about when you want to try to negotiate a lower price, when can it bite you in the butt? Or when is being really, really cheap going to hurt you? Or when is it just being foolish because you're just trying to save money just because you're used to trying to negotiate the last couple cents out of somebody? So this is a comic book I've had up for about 150 bucks shipped. There's a new movie coming out with Masters of the Universe, and so this is maybe a popular book as a result of it. I don't know, but it was going, I think 150 was probably at a higher end when I priced it. So someone reaches out from Canada and says, hey, I'd like to get that book. Can you send it to Canada for $150 shipped? And I'm like, well, maybe if you pay cash, some people in Canada can pay cash. If shipping's only 20 bucks, I only put in $5. So, so I might have been able to make it work if they paid cash. But I get online and find out the last sale was 250 bucks. And I was selling it for 150. Now, if someone comes to me and says, hey, I want to buy it for the price you have it, I usually honor it. I usually say, you need to do it now, because now that I know the price, I'm going to raise it as soon as we get off the phone or as soon as we get off this chat. So this person didn't want to pay a penny more than $150 shipped, and that's his right. But if the recent GPA sales of 250 are any indication, and I checked out eBay and my comic book shop, and that is the cheapest price anywhere, is more than $250 shipped, then he could have got this for $170 shipped, PayPal goods and services with shipping to Canada, but he wanted to be cheap. Now, maybe that was just all the cash he had, then I get it. But I have a feeling a lot of people, they just want to try to negotiate $5, $10 off because it feels good to try to take the money off. Well, I'm glad for the cheap people out there, because then they signify to me, hey, check out this book. It might be in demand. Go look at the price. And I found out I was underpricing it by $100. So what's the lesson of the story? If you see a book on eBay, if you see something on my comic book shop or on Facebook, and you can tell it's under market value and you want to grab it, don't hesitate. Pay the full amount, because as soon as you negotiate or try to get less than what the person's asking, even though he's way under market value, you've just ruined it. Now he's going to look it up to see if he needs to go lower, and then he's going to find out, ooh, it's gone up. No, I'm not going to go lower, and in fact, now I'm going to buy it for more. And then you can come back and say, well, no, now I want to buy it for the original price that you had it. Well, that's just a jerk move, and that's going to upset any seller. If you wanted it for the original price I had it, then you should have bought it. Now you're just trying to negotiate $5, $10 off of me, and it's already a screaming deal. Soon as you try and negotiate, you've lost the ability to get it for the original price. Now, you're going to say, well, I don't like that. Okay, fine, but that's how a seller thinks. You are not going to pay me what I've had it online for. You just reached out and notified me that that I need to check on the price. The price has gone up. Either pay what I asked, or I'm going to raise the price. So I've done this. Believe me, I've made this mistake myself as a buyer. I found stuff on my comic book shop or eBay, and maybe it was a newsstand that wasn't marked newsstand. Maybe it was a newsstand on the back, and unless you dug into it, you couldn't see it, or you reached out to the buyer and said, hey, can I have a picture of the back? And it ends up being a newsstand. You're like, oh, I want it. It's way undervalued. Usually you're taking advantage of a buyer or a seller that doesn't know what they're doing. So, that's not good, but that is part of the nature of our industry. When you find something underpriced, you reach out and you grab it. I got 2,009.8 books available for sale. It's very, very hard to keep those prices up to date. And it's one of the reasons why I give discounts on cash offers, is because someone will reach out and manually offer, suggest cash, that I can go look it up. And I usually will honor the price I have. But I also say, you got to pay it now, because if you wait an hour, I'm going to be raising the price. And that's fair. That's more than fair for a seller to reach out and ask a buyer who wants to pay asking price. Now, if a buyer's trying to nickel and dime you to be even lower, it's kind of annoying. You already know it's a great deal. I've made this mistake because I want that feeling of I just need to knock down $5 more. I need to knock down $10 more, and I'm going to feel good by saving that $5. Well, this is a book I want on my comic book shop. I can already tell it's priced undervalued. There was just made an announcement that some movie's coming out, and it's the only one available anywhere. Just pay it. Unless you're okay losing it. If you're okay losing it, then you can offer less. But if you really want that book, don't offer lower and the seller disagrees and then say, okay, I'll pay what you paid. People say there's no harm in asking. That is not true. There is harm in asking. Us sellers and dealers like to do business in many cases with people we like. There's different environments where there's no social activity like eBay, places with stores. But when you're in social media and you're interacting with the buyer and you're more trying to get an ongoing relationship with a buyer, there's going to be back and forth, and you're either going to like interacting with that person or not like it. And if those who are older and been in the industry a lot longer, we don't like dealing with people we don't like. There's not enough profit, to sustain that. So if someone's going to be a jerk right off the bat, it could be to my benefit as a seller. I'm glad that person was trying to squeeze out $5, $10 more, because now I'm just raised it $100. So him trying to win $5, I'm going to probably make $100 more because he wanted to be stingy with the cash. But on the buyer's side, I've lost some books. I've wanted to get this 9.8 to send in a signature event, and the only 9.8 I can find is on my comic book shop. And I reach out and I'm like, ooh, I wonder if I can negotiate a little bit more, because it has that, give a lower offer number. And that's not really personal. You just make the offer and it's either accepted or denied. So that's not a bad idea to do that. And, you can keep raising your price until he accepts it, and you only get 3 chances. But if you're reaching out to someone and you're going to take the time to get them on the phone or Facebook and ask them if they'll lower the price, that's when they might get upset. Why? It's a good question. Maybe it's a waste of time. Maybe we know what you're trying to do. See, now as a seller, you want to save $5 and I want to make the $100 jump that I should. And so you should have just said, here's my email, send me an invoice. Now, if you reach out to a seller and say, hey, I'd like that book, and then he comes back and says, sorry, it's not available anymore, which you hear on eBay. Some of these auction sites, I've won a really low bid on, what's that auction site I don't use anymore? It's the web app. It's the web, something shop. Geez, I don't use it anymore. That's why I forgot it. I had a bad experience with winning an auction, reached out to pay, and they said, oh, it's not available anymore, probably because the auction price was too low. It's that short shop, short box app. So I didn't like the fact that, a seller can just back out if someone doesn't like what the final bid price was. Other people said they had a great experience. I had a horrible experience trying to reach out to the admin. They said they couldn't email me. I don't know what that issue was about. They couldn't communicate with me. They didn't get my emails. And I had other issues with them where 9.8 books were sent to me and they were clearly not 9.8s, like scratches on the back, on the inside of the case. And they let me do a refund, but it was really exhausting trying to communicate with them. So I don't use that app anymore. But that was an example of making an offer, winning it, and then the guy saying, oop, it's not sale. That's a jerk move. And I think that guy got a warning, if not removed from the short box app. So if you offer what they're asking and then they turn around, that is kind of a jerk move, and you might want to avoid that seller. Most sellers who have the ethics, they understand the difficulties of pricing. Hey, if you want to offer what the price I have on there, and then I'm going to take it, because at some point I priced it that, and that was going to be good enough for me. And so if I missed out, my bad for not keeping up with it. That's the downside of having so many books available for sale, is downside from a seller's point of view, that you might not get what it's worth. But that could be the benefit of a buyer, is if you're dealing with someone who's only selling, a handful of books, 100 books, he can keep up with those prices. Whereas if you're dealing with a real store that has thousands of books priced, you might be able to get some deals because you know that we can't keep up with that. Now, if you go to someone and say they'll price it at the cash register, I wouldn't like that either. If I'm going in a store, I want to see the prices on the bags. And if you're not going to price them and you're going to try to price them at the counter, I'm not going to waste my time. What is this one? What is this one? What is this one? You know, I want to look through 100. Oh, there's one that I like the price. So if they're going to price it at the counter, I wouldn't tolerate that as a buyer either. So that's the trouble with, being a dealer is, we're either going to miss out on some profits. Most of the big stores are fine with that. That's just the cost of doing business. When I put it up for sale at a price, I would have been happy to get that price. And so if someone's offering me that later, even though it's probably maybe worth $100 more, good for them. And they're probably going to want to come back to my store. So it could be considered a lost leader, like eggs at the back of a supermarket. You walk all the way through the store to get those eggs that are $2.29 for a dozen. It's a lost leader. They're going to lose money on that. In the old days, it was $2.29. I understand it's $5 now. But you're going to walk through the store. Oh, I might get some chips. I might get this. I might get some peanut butter or some bread. So they put those lost leaders at the back of the store to lead you into buying more stuff. It's just like some of these $1 auction sites on Facebook where you might get a great deal on that, $30, $40, $50 key that highlights their $1 start auction, but you pick up a whole bunch of books for $3 each when the guy might have paid 20 cents for those, and he's making, 10x profit on those. And you're thinking, what's the big deal? 1, 2, 3. Those little $1 and $2 and $3 books, if you don't win a lot, now you're paying $15 shipping for one $1 book. And some people give you a workaround, so you're not stuck with that. But most people, you're kind of stuck with it. So you end up bidding a lot. So that's how those auction sites work, is you have lost leaders. Hey, I'm going to put this Wolverine 8 out there. You might get it for a great deal at 40, but you're going to pick up a whole bunch of $5 books that I probably couldn't sell for $5 if I put them on eBay. And I probably wouldn't make that much profit because of how much eBay takes. So anyways, if you see a great deal, buy it. Don't try a nickel and dime unless it's those things like eBay where you can make an offer, or My Comic Shop where you can make an offer and they might have a computer system generated where it accepts an offer if it's above a certain minimum. But as soon as you get that seller's attention that maybe that book is in demand, he now has the right to go reprice it. So I just say, get it if you want it. Anyways, just a fun little tidbit. Happy hunting, guys.